Welcome to the Process Breakdown Podcast, where we talk about streamlining and scaling operations of your company, getting rid of bottlenecks, and giving your employees all the information they need to be successful at their jobs. Now, let's get started with the show.
Dr. Jeremy Weisz here, host of the Process Breakdown Podcast, where we talk about streamlining and scaling operations of your company, getting rid of bottlenecks, and giving your staff everything they need to be successful at their job. Check out past episodes. Nicholas, I always tell people, check out past episodes. We have some amazing episodes. There's past guests include David Allen of Getting Things Done, Michael Gerber of the E-Myth, and many more. And before I introduce today's great guest, this is a topic I am excited to talk about, okay? And I think everyone else will be excited to talk about it too. It's going to be relevant for all of us. And before I do, this episode is brought to you by Sweet Process. So, Nicholas, you could probably not relate to this. I'm kidding. Have you had team members ask you the same things over and over again, and maybe is the 10th time you spent explaining it? Well, there is actually a better way. Sweet Process is a software that makes it drop dead easy to train and onboard new staff and save time with existing staff. And when I was talking to one of the founders, Owen, not only do universities, banks, hospitals, and software companies use them, but first responder government agencies use them in life or death situations to run their operations. So you can use Sweet Process to document all the repetitive tasks that eat up your precious time so you can focus on growing your team and empowering them. You could sign up for a free 14-day trial. No credit card is required. Go to sweetprocess.com. It's sweet like candy, SWEET process.com. Everyone I talk to, Nicholas, are like, yeah, I just want to be systemized. I want to have a streamlined approach. And so they love it. Today's guest, Nicholas Melosi, is the COO of American Patriot Oil and Gas. Nicholas, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
If you're not watching the video, he is sporting an amazing Texas hat. So,
I am.
Tell us a little bit about, and by the way, what we're going to talk about today is if you're a younger leader, we've heard the term millennial or Gen X, just younger leader. How do you best lead if you have more mature individuals, older individuals reporting you? And on the flip side, whatever you define older is, on the flip side, if you're an experienced older generation and you're reporting to a younger leader, boss, how do you navigate that? I think this is important. Even if you go back into the 80s, 70s, 60s, it's always going to hold true, right? There's always going to be, that young up and coming person that is going to be leading an older generation, vice versa. So first of all, tell us a little bit about American Patriot Oil and Gas and what you guys do.
We are oil and gas operators. We operate approximately 75 wells in Texas, and we have non-op positions in Mississippi and Louisiana, where we've just taken percentage of the well. And, our goal is to operate these wells and increase our value to our shareholders. Our biggest job is just daily operations. It takes a tremendous amount of effort to keep these wells running. We're always fixing things. We're always communicating. We have a solid back office in order, and it's just a really big team effort. I think we probably have 30 to 50 people on our team on a daily and monthly basis. It's a challenge, but it's fun.
Nicholas, talk about, you mentioned that there's a lot of operations and behind the scenes that goes into running these things. Who would you say, or positions, you have to name individuals, but maybe positions like the unsung heroes of American Patriot Oil and Gas? It's kind of like, Tom Brady wins MVP or something, and you never see an offensive line winning MVP of the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Who are some of the unsung heroes behind the scenes? Not necessarily names, but like positions that really kind of the glue that makes sure everything operates smoothly.
I mean, this is kind of a piece that we've been working on, bringing together the back office and the field teams, right? Because the back office doesn't really understand what goes into watching these wells every day. Like we have guys that go around these wells every single day, rain or shine. You don't want to do it every day, but it's just a necessary evil to make sure, nothing goes wrong and to make sure we sell our product and produce our product to sell it. And then our field guys don't really have an idea, what goes into the paperwork, compliance with regulatory, accounting, insurance. And what lately we've been trying to do is we'll have a, kind of a team meeting every day and just kind of introduce everybody. Like, guys, this is what it takes in the back office to make sure that, we're able to sell our product, and guys in the field, this is what it takes to produce our product. And, everyone is just such an integral part of the team to make this operate. Like without one person, it throws a huge wrench in it. So, just trying to keep good guys just happy and moving forward and doing good work is the key.
I think that's a key point, because when everyone knows kind of everyone's job, you can have a mutual respect there. Whereas if they don't, then people just make assumptions. Yeah. I can make up a bunch of assumptions in my head without knowing your business as well. It's like, well, if I was one of the back office people, I'm like, what are they, just sitting with the lawn chair, just watching the well? Like, what are they actually doing? Or, then those people are like, well, is someone just at the computer, like surfing the internet? Like, what are they doing? And, I'm not saying that's what people say, but I can make up these stories in my head just from hearing you describe that job. Right.
Yeah. And that's like when I started, I felt like I had to do every job just so I understood, how it worked, what was entailed with it. And I felt like I could help manage that process a little bit better and help them communicate. But it's that's exactly right. If you're sitting somewhere thinking about something else, you really have no idea what it takes to get it done. And, everybody that works for us is extremely hardworking and extremely competent and honest people. So, I feel like one of the biggest things that we've been able to do is just create a solid culture of just work ethic and honesty, I guess. It's a big thing, communication, and just making sure that if something does happen, because it's going to happen, right? Like that's just life, that we just, bring it to the table and say, okay, let's put our heads together. Let's fix it. I was talking to a guy from Chevron. He's like, that's our main goal, is to just not figure out how to not let problems happen again. And that's the only way we grow, is we're all going to make mistakes, but just make sure we don't let them happen again.
Yeah. I want to talk about the leading piece in a second, but last time we were talking, you were on the road, and I'm wondering, when you're on the road and you're going to basically make sure everything's running smoothly, what are you going? What are you checking for? What are you doing when you go out to the sites?
It just depends, but mostly bigger projects. If we'll have a rig that comes on, I like to be there just because it's a tremendous capital spend. And, those prices can add up quickly. Like if we got to get a bulldozer for 2 days, then that's an extra cost. There's an extra, and sometimes you just need to understand everything that's going on downhole. Like if we have scale on the well, like we need to notate that in these reports so we can talk to our chemical guy and say, hey, this is our problem right now. What kind of adjustments can we do to our chemical to make it better? And we're kind of in the phase where we are a big enough company to, hire 3 full-time employees to oversee all this in these different areas. But, we're still on that teetering point to where we can't manage it yet. So I do a lot of management on that end, as far as just going down and checking things, and a lot of communication with the guys, and just try to keep momentum forward and just positive attitudes, and let everybody know they're doing a good job, but then also correct and figure out what can we do better.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that being a positive, because if you have someone at certain positions, just overseeing the process where, that's an advantage to some of these, companies, because you're in there rolling up your sleeves and actually making sure everything's running smoothly. And that's a good point with any company, I think, with an onboarding process and making sure, especially because what you said was, especially when you're doing something new, making sure the onboarding process is overseen, because that's usually when stuff tends to happen as opposed to it's running smoothly. So making sure that goes smoothly, the clients are happy, or at least you have a quick solution. You have someone who can make decisions. Back to the leadership piece for a second. When we are chatting about what would be interesting to talk about, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about having a younger leader and how do you best lead if you have, maybe someone's been in the industry for 30 or 40 years and they're saying, Nicholas, my underpants are older than you. Okay. Yeah. How do you navigate that? Like, what are some things you do to navigate that? And I'd love to hear.
One of the things that I found is that just, you obviously have to show respect, right? Like, you respect their experience and you respect what they've done and what they've accomplished to get to where they are. But on the flip side of that, there's new technologies and there's new processes that I've learned from working on, on different operations around the country. So it's like, I'll bring certain ideas to the table. Let's try them out along with your ideas and let's see what works the best. Like, I don't want to be a stagnant company. I don't want to just continue to do the same thing over and over just because that's what we do. Like, that's the reason that I think, one of the reasons I think we've been successful and we've been able to, overcome some of these odds, like the coronavirus of 2020. I mean, it was a battle all year. So, but everybody just putting their heads together and working as a unit and trying new things and seeing what does work. But it's a difficult process.
I could see that, Nicholas, listen, you've seen across, different industries or the same industry, and you are thinking in how does technology solve the issue? And there's lots of new technologies coming up every single year. So even if someone's paying attention to it, it's hard to keep up with it. And especially people who aren't paying attention, they're not going to discover some of the technologies that are on the forefront or that people are starting to adopt, and sometimes being the early adopters of those technologies. But I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second, and I'll say, okay, you bring a really good technology idea to the table that could really help solve a problem. But the other side is, well, Nicholas, like, we've been doing it this way for 15 years and it's working. Right. Yeah. I don't know if you've heard that before, but I could see someone be like, listen, it's working. Why change? How do you navigate that and overcome that obstacle of like, yeah, this is a true statement, but what do you say to that?
Yeah, that's kind of been our motto is, I completely understand that this has worked in a way for the past 15 years, but I'd like to suggest that we try it this way, this one time, and let's just analyze the data and analyze the results and see if we have anything different. Because in this business, it's all about data and all about, the more information you know about your wells and your wellbore setups, the better you are. So, but to get back to your question, I think it's a dance. Some people are more stubborn than others, but at the end of the day, it's just, this is just how we do things. Is that we have to adapt and progress. And we might fail on trying things out, but I'm sure as long as we learn something from it, we've moved in the right direction.
Yeah. No, listen, I think in general, as human beings, we don't love change. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Even people who like technology, it's a tough thing to want to implement a new technology. So
Yeah.
someone who's maybe not loving technology, that's like a whole separate ball game. But I like what you said is, how do you link it to something objective? So like, let's try it and then let's analyze the data. So it's not like an opinion at that point. It's like, did this produce a better outcome result or didn't it? Right.
I mean, that's the name of the game, is just increasing production. And then, talking about software, implementing software, we got this software grease books about 2 years ago. And that was a chore to get it in, because, we have 7 different fields and everybody's just sending these Excel sheets. And then we have to go through these Excels, compile them, and then put together our report. And it's like, there's got to be a better way to do this. So we found grease books, and we can import it at the field level to where our daily pumpers will go around and they'll track it there, and they'll put sales tickets, and we get a handle on accounting that way too. And it was just there was pushback from some areas, but at the end of the day, I think that everyone realized that it helped everyone.
Yeah. I mean, that's similar to, what I mentioned in the beginning in sweet process. Like, people are using Excel sheets or, Post-it notes, who knows what they're using. There's a better way. And going
to get hooked up with sweet process for all the guys that we have. And I'm sure there's something in there that you can kind of have current guys fill out their daily jobs to where, for the handover is seamless on the next one.
Exactly. Yes. They have those features in there. I love what you said about, though, the implementation. So you're like, cool, grease books, like, this is going to solve a lot of our problems. It's going to streamline things. How do you go about implementation across the company? What have you found works? Because like you said, there's going to be pushback, certain departments, because if everyone's not using it, it's not helpful, right?
Yeah.
How do you go about implementing a solution like that across the company?
That one was it took us to approach it from different angles. And, some of it was small steps. All right. Just this one well, just use it on this one well for 90 days and let's evaluate how it went. And, another one was just like, when we got a new pumper in an area, just like, this is just what we do. If it doesn't work for you, I'm sorry, but this is just a job requirement. So we've kind of gone along the spectrum of it. We've tried to work with folks that have been with us for a long time and say, I get it, it's change. It's going to create more work for you right now, but I guarantee you in 6 months, you're going to see the value of it.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be this hurdle to go over, but you will see value in it.
Yeah. Yeah. The two things I'm hearing from you is the objective data. And it's easier with the new people. You're like, this is how we do it. We have the data. This is going to make it easier, faster, better, whatever it is. But the people who have been used to a certain way, that's a little bit tougher. And what I'm hearing you say is you need to implement these small, very bite-sized goals, small steps, so that they can just try it. Because usually when they try it and they see the results, it's easier, better, faster, even though there's like maybe that initial learning curve. People will see that objective data.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what they were doing is they would go around and have a notepad and they would just write it down on a notepad every day, and then they would bring it home.
Right.
And then they would prepare a report at home and then they would send it in. I'm like, well, why not just, when you're there, we got everybody iPads to where, just put it in right there, put your notes in for the day. If there's any sales tickets, put them in there, and then you're done. Then at the end of the day, you don't have to mess with this ever again.
Yeah. It's something that will save them time in the long run. And we're so used to doing it the same way.
Yeah.
And it's like, they'll thank you later for it. It's like, oh, I don't have that extra work after I leave.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we talked about the younger leading. How do you best lead older individuals, reporting you, show respect, but also kind of convey some of the unique skill sets that you have. And on the other side of the equation, if someone's an experienced, I don't know, I'm curious feedback you've gotten from other, people that people are reporting to you, how do they best navigate working with you? Have they, I don't know what people have said, or you've just seen people take approaches. What's that?
I'm curious what they've said too.
What approaches do they take that you find work with you? Like when they approach me this way, or I don't know, set XYZ, that really helps you be a better leader.
I can be an extremely stubborn person and, set in my own ways. And that's one of the things we've talked about is just like creative ideas are going to help us grow. Like if you guys have suggestions on anything, let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Let's put it into our daily meeting. But I don't know. I don't know what guys say, like we have such a spectrum of employees. We have accountants, engineers, lawyers, field guys, we have techs, we have, just a wide range. And, everyone thinks differently, and everyone manages differently and thinks about me differently. Right. Like,
yeah,
I don't think that they see the spectrum of work that I have to do to keep things going in the right direction. And, you don't want to tell people that, right? Like, you don't want to say, this is what it takes, but,
well, it kind of goes with what you were saying with the other piece in the beginning. We were talking about, the field staff and the back office staff. When you have a little bit of an understanding of what people's jobs are, because you can
relate.
Yeah, you can, well, at least appreciate some of the stuff they do, which you don't realize on a day-to-day basis. It sounds like, you've kind of done a different pieces of the position, so you kind of understand, and you have this mutual understanding and respect because you've done some of it, right?
Yeah, like the accountant, it's just tedious work that takes time. And I think he gets frustrated with me sometimes that, I'll push him. Maybe I push him too hard to get things done or get reports done. And he'll let me know when he's frustrated. And I'm like, okay, I need to give him some breathing room. Maybe he needs a vacation, or, like I like him as an employee and as a person, man. Like, I want you to stick around. I appreciate your feedback on it. Like I'll work on my end to not push so hard.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good point too, is everyone has different pressures, and it's coming sometimes from a place of there's different pieces pulling us in different positions. So it's not a personal thing. It's just, here's the pressure I'm experiencing in my portion. And, everyone's portions kind of overlap at some point,
for sure.
So it's kind of, I'm also seeing, hearing an awareness for when you can push and when you should just back off and let people just do their work.
Yeah. It's just, it's difficult, right? Like to find that balance and to find that line of what encouragement and what leadership is, and what is just overwhelming. And that's probably the biggest, my biggest concern on how to lead the best. And like, if I push the field guys too hard, they'll get mad at me and make it known. And I'm like, okay, so then I'll have to go down there and be like, no, you're right. I see the problem. I see why it's taking so long. And then just communication over the phone just doesn't work. But, like if we have, our FaceTime works really well now, that they can show me like, okay, there's a low spot here. We can't get a truck. We can only get a truck 300 feet from here. So we have to roll out hose, and we're only able to pull up like, a tenth of the volume that we normally could be. So until you see that, or until you know that, then it's like, what's going on out here? We're spending this much a day. Like we gotta get it. But then you go down there and you see it, and you're like, oh, you guys are right. My fault. Thanks for the hard work.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like the key thing is with any of this, with them, someone who's reporting to a boss or a boss helping lead a team is just understanding where everyone's coming from first. Yeah. And when you do that, that helps because someone, you may be like, hey, why are we getting this done? And once you understand the situation, it seems it's obvious, but our first inclination sometimes is just for the results based. Sometimes it's results, and there's things that get in the way of that. Nicholas, this has been really helpful. I appreciate you kind of walking me through some of these scenarios, because I think for any company, whether you are the experienced person with 30 years and having a younger generation person come in or vice versa, it's a really important conversation and at least jars many thoughts on my end. But is there anything else that we didn't talk about that would be important to say in this conversation when we're talking about leaders, younger versus more experienced, older generation?
I don't know. It's leadership is a difficult thing, right? And I think it's with anyone. And I'm open to learn. If you know anything else, let me know. Like better ways to do it. I'm definitely interested in checking out Sweet Process so we can, help with our onboarding and moving people around. And I'm always just looking for better ways to do things.
Yeah. Are there any particular books or resources that you have found from like either COO or leadership or anything that you've looked at over the years that have impacted you as a leader?
Yeah, I like listening to biographies from like great men like Churchill and some guys, but it's Ben Franklin, and just to see how they did things with their lives and just try to figure out how I can do that in my life or if there's similarities. And like that's probably the biggest thing that I've done, that I've tried to do, is just learn from other people. I mean,
I love that suggestion, Nicholas, because you go to a autobiography for like $20. You can learn from all of their mistakes. You can learn from all of the things they did right for really inexpensive. So I love that suggestion. Check out, you mentioned Ben Franklin, check out Winston Churchill. Steve Jobs' biography sticks out as like a really good one. So there's many out there. Check out some of those.
The Nike CEO.
Yeah. Shoe Dog.
Dog. I read Shoe Dog.
That was a remarkable one also. Yeah.
You forget Ray Dalio from the investment firm.
Principles, I think it was called. Yeah.
Principles, yeah.
Yep.
I read Elon's. He's a madman. But yeah, I mean, they have just such great characteristics, and just try to emulate that.
Yeah. Check out that. Check out Sweet Process. Check out other episodes of the podcast, The Process Breakdown, and we'll see you on the other side. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks a lot. It's good talking.
Thanks for listening to the Process Breakdown podcast. Before you go, quick question. Do you want a tool that makes it easy to document processes, procedures, and/or policies for your company so that your employees have all the information they need to be successful at their job? If yes, sign up for a free 14-day trial of Sweet Process. No credit card is required to sign up. Go to sweetprocess.com, sweet like candy, and process like process.com. Go now to sweetprocess.com and sign up for your risk-free 14-day trial.
Hi, This is Owen, the CEO and co-founder here at Sweet Process. If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast interview, actually, you know what I want you to do? Go ahead and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. That way we get more people aware of the good stuff that you get here on this podcast. Again, go on to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. Looking forward to reading your review. Have a good day.